in child's pose. So I like to go knees wide, almost to the edge of my mat. My toes are planted on the floor behind me. They can be touching. And I extend my hips back to meet my heels, and I stretch my arms out in front of me, and I put my elbows on my mat and bring my head down. And in this pose, notice your normal breath. No judgment, just see how you're breathing and see how your body feels. Are there points of tension, maybe in your neck, or your hips might be tight? Just relax into this pose. Breathe in and breathe out normally. Two more rounds of normal breath. In and out. In. Big breath in and sigh. Now close your lips and start Ujjayi breath through your nose. Let your belly drop. Let's do this for 4 rounds. In and out. I like to rock my forehead back and forth. Last one. In and out. Bring the pits of your elbows up off the mat. Now we're in an energetic child's pose. Sink your hips further back to your heels. Maybe your body parts touch, maybe they don't, doesn't matter. And breathe Ujjayi in and out. One more. In and out. Come up to tabletop. Your wrists right underneath your elbows right underneath your shoulders, your hips stacked on top of your knees, your shins facing directly back. Look at your hands. Your forefingers should be at 12 o'clock. And there's great power between your forefinger and your thumb. That shape. Yep. Hello.
Hello. Hi.
Join us on the mat and you can silence yourself.
Okay.
Do you know how to do that? You just hit that little microphone. So this is the energetic part of your hands, that L shape. And we're going to go through 5 rounds of cat and cow. Cow, drop your waist, lift your chin, breathe in. And cat, round your back. Howling cat, draw your chin to your chest. Cow, lift your chin, drop your belly. Cat, draw your chin, arch your back. One more. Wow. We're waking up our back and our hips and cat. Come back to a neutral spine. Reach your right hand out like you're shaking it and point your left toes back to the back of your mat, toes on the ground. Now, lift your left toes and stretch. Stamp the back wall with your heel. Stretch your hand out like you're really reaching for somebody. And crunch. Bring your right elbow to your left knee. Extend out. Reach, 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 reach. And crunch. Reach on the inhale. Crunch on the exhale. Hand to mat, foot to mat. Let's do the same thing on the other side. Reach your left hand out like you're shaking it. Reach your right toe back. Toe can be on the mat or the floor behind you. Now raise your right leg, using your glutes to bring that leg up. And crunch. Bring your left elbow to your right knee. Reach out. Extend. Exhale, crunch. One more. Reach out, extend, and crunch. Hand to mat. 2 more rounds of cat-cow. Cow, drop your waist, your belly, look up. Exhale into cat, Halloween cat. Arch your back, bring your chin to your chest. Cow once more. Breathe in, exhale, cat. Come to a comfortable seat on your mat. It can be hero's pose, it can be cross-leg. I want to make sure that everybody's wrists are also woken up because we're going to come into some downward dogs and we're going to be doing a few chaturangas, okay? So everybody bring your hands out in front of you, palms facing your computer, and now we're gonna do flashlights. We're gonna open and close our fingers as quickly as we can for 30 seconds, starting now. Okay, stop. It's amazing. I mean, that's like, whew, that's a workout for your wrists. Now, place your wrists, fingers facing each other on your mat, and kind of straighten your arms, or maybe bend into that. We're going to ask our wrists to do a bunch in this practice. We want to make sure that they're a little stretched out. Maybe face your fingers facing you, if you can, with your wrists on the floor. Straighten your elbows to the extent to which possible, or bend into it as much as you need. Now have your wrists face each other, fingers facing in the opposite direction. And you can bend into this. So if any point in this next part of the practice, your wrists are screaming at you, we want you to take pressure off your wrists. So back out of it, go into child's pose, or put your knees to the mat. So let me just show you. In downward facing dog, this is the vinyasa. This is a vinyasa. So you know, downward facing dog, you're making the shape of a V. The point is that your sacrum is trying to get to the ceiling. Your knees can be bent, right? Always bend your knee, bring water to your knee. Your heels may or may not reach the mat. That's fine. We roll forward to high plank. My shoulders are plugged into my shoulder blades, my shoulder sockets. We lower halfway, elbows tucked. We come up to upward facing dog. Your knees can be on the ground or up. Your toes are on your mat. And we roll back to downward facing dog. Here's the modification, and this is the important point. When you lower halfway, put your knees on the ground, lower halfway, and come back to downward facing dog through tabletop and up. So we'll practice that, but I wanted to demonstrate that. So everyone, let's meet at the top of your mat, toes pointing forward. Come up to mountain pose. Forward fold. Knees bent or straight. Halfway lift, hands on your shin or thigh. The point is, straighten your back. The crown of your head is pointing to the side of the room. Forward fold. Mountain pose. Forward fold. Chaturanga, step back, high plank, low plank, upward facing dog, downward facing dog. Breathe, pedal your feet out. This is your first down dog of the day. Notice how it feels. Breathe in, breathe out. I like to point my toes to one side of my mat and bend my knees to get a side stretch. I point my toes back up to the front of the mat and do the other side. Bend your knees, pointing toes to the side of the mat and bend. You really feel this as a side stretch. Come back, toes pointing forward. Step forward to the top of your mat. Forward fold. Halfway lift. Forward fold. Mountain pose. Forward fold. Halfway lift. Really straighten your back. Plug your shoulders into the shoulder socket. Really, really stretch and step back to high plank. Low plank, tucking your elbows. Come forward to upward facing dog and downward facing dog. And breathe. And breathe again. Step forward to the top of your mat. Fold. Halfway lift. Fold. Mountain pose. Fold. High plank. Step back to high plank. Tucking your elbows. Low plank. Upward facing dog. Downward facing dog. And breathe. Good job. And breathe. Step your right foot forward into crescent lunge. So your right foot, look down. Your hands can be at your side like Samasthiti, palms forward. Your right toe should be directly facing 12 o'clock. Your back toes are lifted. So you're on your back, the ball of your back foot, right? Your hands can be at your side. So In a lot of these positions or poses, sometimes we just kind of do it through brute force. We kind of get up momentum and we swing and we use that kind of momentum. Let's try instead to use our abdominal muscles to come up. So hands at samasthiti, now bring them parallel to that bent front knee. And then bring them up to triceps around your ears, hands straight overhead. Crescent lunge. You want your front knee to be bent right over your ankle, and you want to be behind your back toes. Hands to heart prayer. Really put your thumb knuckles right into your chest and twist. So you can twist by extending your left hand out in front of you and your right hand out behind you. Or from prayer position, you could hook your left elbow around your right knee, stacking your shoulders. Whichever way, both are good. It's a torso twist. Breathe. Come back to crescent lunge. Hands to mat, downward facing dog, and breathe. Step your left foot forward, crescent lunge. So set yourself up, get your toes behind you on your right foot up, toes on the left foot facing 12 o'clock, come forward, hands parallel to your bent knee, and using your abdominals, bring your hands overhead for crescent lunge. Bring your hands to prayer, thumb knuckles to chest. Either hook your right elbow around your left knee or open up your arms, almost like you're in warrior two. And breathe. Twisting is really good for your digestion. And breathe. And twist. So on your inhales, you extend. On your exhales, you twist. Hands to mat. Pull your left foot back to downward facing dog. Step both feet forward to the top of your mat and forward fold. Halfway lift, forward fold, come up to mountain, and chair pose. So chair pose is a squat. You're sending your hips low. Look down. You want to see if you can see your toes, that your knees aren't covering your toes. So bring your knees back so that you can look down and see your toes. And bring your arms up overhead. Wrap your triceps close to your ears and look down. Can you still see your toes? Sometimes I can and sometimes I can't. Lift all 10 toes up off the mat. Good. Put them down on the mat. See if you can lift your heels up off the mat. You might not be able to see your toes, and bring it down. Lift your toes. Now lift your heels. Good. Bring your hands to heart in prayer. And we're going to do another twist. We're going to twist right. You can hook your left elbow around the outside of your right knee. Your toes can be touching or your legs can be apart, but it's important that one knee is not jutting out. So your right knee isn't jutting out. Pull it back if it is. So your knees are parallel. Try to stack your shoulders and sink your hips. If it's in your practice, open your arms. And fold. Halfway lift. forward fold. Come up to mountain and sink back into chair. We're going to do the same thing on the left side. So your arms are wrapped around your ears. To the extent to which that's possible, you're looking down. Can you see your toes? Can you lift your toes? Bring your hands to heart. Really place your thumb knuckles right at the center of your chest and hook your right elbow around your left knee. Your crown of your head is really reaching towards the front of the room. You're sinking your hips. You can open your arms if that feels good. And breathe. Come back up to mountain pose. Good job. Bring your hands to Samasthiti and regain your breath. Breathe in. Bring water to your knees. Make sure you've got some bend to your knees. Breathe in. Breathe out. Good job. Let's meet in a downward facing dog. However you get there, that's fine. If you're on your knees, that's absolutely fine. Step forward with your right foot. Your left foot is at 45 degrees on the back of your mat. We're setting up for warrior two. So the blade edge of your left foot is digging into the back of your mat. Your front toes are pointing at 12 o'clock. Your front knee is directly over your hip. It's not back, it's not over, it's directly right on top of your ankle. And warrior two. So stretch your right arm out in front of you, your left hand and arm directly behind you. This is an energetic warrior pose. And sink. And breathe. Straighten your front leg. We're going into Trikonasana or triangle. Hinge forward with your right arm and then drop either to a block or the inside of your shin and bring your left arm up so that it is perpendicular with your side body. So you like to think of Trikonasana, triangle poses, if you're in between two pieces of glass. Your body has gotten very compacted towards the center line. And breathe. Bring your left foot up halfway up the mat, toes pointing forward. Bring your arms up overhead and lower halfway down. So your arms are parallel with each other right over your mat. And we're going to come down to pyramid pose. You can put your hands on your shin or your hands on a block. And the point is you want your weight evenly distributed between both feet so you can feel both heels really, really firm on your mat. Unlock your front knee and relax your torso into this pose. This is a big hamstring stretch. If you have a block, place it on the inside of your right foot, and we're coming up for a twisted triangle. So my left hand is on my block's on its highest setting, and I bring my right arm up overhead, and I If I can, I look at my extended thumb. The top of my thighs are meeting one another. Remove your block. Place your feet wide on your mat. So now my feet are facing the left side of my mat. My toes are pointing towards one another slightly, kind of pigeon toe. For wide leg forward fold, I place my hands on my hips. My toes are pigeon toed, and it can be spread out as much as is comfortable for you. We're going to bend forward, hinge forward, halfway, and then hands to mat. Really bend forward. Some people go into a headstand right now. I don't, but if that's in your practice, go for it. And just bend into this. This is now really stretching your inner thighs. And breathe. Your hands can be directly under your shoulders, or you can walk them back to be more under your thighs. Really, any hand position is fine. And breathe into this. Great. Come back up halfway. Stretch, 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 and come back up to stand. Good. Let's meet in downward facing dog. We're going to do the same thing now on the left side. Down dog. Bring your left foot forward. Set up for warrior two on this side. Your back foot is 45-degree angle. Really dig the blade edge of that foot into your mat. Your front toes are at 12 o'clock. Your knees right over your ankle. And bring your arms out to a T. Your left hand is now really stretching forward, and your right hand is really stretching back. And you sink. Sink. Breathe and sink. Straighten your right leg. Hinge your torso forward. Really stretch forward and come down into Trikonasana. On this side, you can use a block. Your hand can go on your shin. And you bring your arm up overhead. I twist my upper hand so my pinky is kind of facing the wall in front of me. That helps me get that extension in my shoulder. The goal is to get your shoulders as stacked as possible. Unlock your front knee. Breathe. Your body's between two panes of glass. Breathe. Come back to warrior two. Step your right foot halfway up the mat. Both toes pointed forward at 12 o'clock. We're coming into pyramid. So bring your arms up overhead. Come down halfway. Unlock your knees and bend down into pyramid. I like to use a block here. It really helps me get my weight distributed between both legs. Both heels are really in the mat. Sometimes I bring my toes up to really help, and then place them back on the mat. And breathe into this, sink. My torso's almost on my left thigh. And breathe. And breathe. Place your block, if you have one, on the inside of your left foot. Place your right hand at the highest setting on that block and bring your left arm up overhead for a twisting triangle. the crown of your head is really, really drawing to the front of your mat or the front wall or window or whatever's there. Breathe. Breathe. Okay, come out of this. Place your block to the side. Now you're going to place your toes. We were doing a pigeon toe forward fold earlier. Now I want you to place your toes so they're, I don't know, I guess penguin toes. They're facing the left front corner of your mat and the left back corner of your mat. We're coming into goddess pose. Here's the trick. Your knees should be on top of your ankles. And you're going to squat. Your arms come up to cactus. And we're going to pulse 5 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Come back up. And now we're going to be doing, come back to Savastiti. Your hands facing the front. Notice your breath. Has it gotten ragged? Try to slow it down and regain Ujjayi breath. Breathe in, breathe out, and in and out. We're going to be doing some balances now. And I think with balance, getting your breath so that it's slowed and smooth is a really good idea. So whatever you need to do to slow down your breath so it's become slow and smooth. And find a drishti point. So that is a gaze point in front of you, something that's not moving. It can be anything. It could be an outlet. It could be a tree or a brick. It doesn't matter. And really use that gaze point when you're in balance. And if you fall out of a balance pose, doesn't matter, just get back into it. It really is showing that you're kind of, you're pressing your limits, which is, we think in yoga, pretty good. So we're going to come into chair pose. We're going to wrap our right arm around our left arm into eagle. Wrap your right leg around your left leg. If you can bring your toes to the other side of your shin, good. And sink. Bring your elbows up to shoulder height and breathe. Bring your feet back to meet. Let's do the same thing on the other side. Wrap your left arm around your right. Your palms are facing one another. Bring your left leg around your right leg. On this side, my toes can't go around, so I just flex them where they are, and I sink. And breathe. Elbows parallel with shoulders. And sink. And come to standing position. Mountain pose, if that feels good. Eagle, back on the right. Right arm under left. Come into a child's pose, like you're sitting in a chair. Swing your right leg over your left and sink. If you can, try to pull your palms towards the front of the room, like you're making a beak on your eagle. And breathe. Feet to the mat, come to a stand. Raise your right leg to hip height. You can grab your right knee with your right hand. Find that drishti point. You can extend your left hand out to the left side. And if you can draw your right knee out to the right side and look over your left hand. Come back to center. And like you're in molasses, kick back to airplane. Little up dog in your chest. Your pinkies try to meet behind you. Breathe. Breathe. Feet to mat. Whew. I'll do this so that you can get my side view. Bring your left knee up to hip height. Draw your left knee out to the left, your right arm out to the right. Look over your right hand. Come back to center and slowly kick back into airplane pose. Drishti. Breath. Feet to mat. Mountain pose. Hands to heart. Notice your breath. Let's do dancer. So dancer is where you take your right hand, you bring it to the inside of your right ankle. Your thumb is pointing up like you're hitchhiking. I'll do this on my side so you can see better. So my knees are together. My arm is overhead energetically, pointing to the ceiling. I flex my back toes, and there's real tension between my arm and that ankle. They're really kind of pulling at one another. And keeping my shoulders parallel, I gently tip forward. Feet to the mat. Let's do that on the other side. So I bring my left hand, the palm to the inside of my left ankle. My thumb is facing up. I take my right hand, I bring it overhead. That's a stretch. And I tip forward. I use the tension between my arm and my leg as sort of it helps me balance. You don't want to tip forward too much because you want your shoulders to be parallel. Breathe. Good. Feet to mat. Our last balance is tree. We all know tree. So there's different ways of doing tree. You can do kickstand, toes on mat, ankle to ankle. You can bring your foot up to the inside of your shin, or you can bring it up to the inside of your thigh. Whatever works, and whatever position your hands like. If it's challenging, bring your hands to prayer and really dig your thumb into your chest and breathe. And drishti. If it's there for you, grow your tree and breathe. Bring some bend into your standing leg. 2 more breaths. and feet to mat. Let's do tree on the other side, but it's a reminder that in addition to drishti and breath, balance is a lot about the core. And you know, I say this all the time, but there's so many muscles in your core, it's like which one is really activated. But it's that feeling of zipping up your jeans, that gentle tuck in your waist. So get that feeling as you come up into tree on the left. Bring your foot to any position, but not on your knee. And hands in any position, and breathe, and drishti. Two more breaths. Feet to mat. Good job. And find your way to a seated position on your mat. We're going to do a little core work now. So boat, full boat, or any assist. Hands behind your knees, shoulders on, or forearms on the ground. But the point is, you want to be on your sacrum. You don't want to be too far on your butt, and you don't want to be too far on your back. Boat, high boat, low boat, look at your toes. High boat, low boat, look at your toes. One more. High boat, low boat. Come to the mat. With as much of your back on the mat as possible. My lower back is arched off the mat. Sometimes I put my palms on the mat underneath my sacrum. That helps me get a little bit more, here's the point. The point is we want to be using our abs and not our lower back to rise up to low boat, looking at our toes and flutter kick. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Feet to mat. Ha. Ha. Bring your knees so that they are right over your hips and your shins are at a 90-degree angle. We're going to do bicycle. So with bicycle, we bring our shoulder to our knee, not our knee to our shoulder. Okay? So it may make the motion smaller, which is fine. And we extend the opposite leg. So I'm going to bring my left shoulder to my right knee, extending my left leg. We're going to do this 10 times. You do it in your own pace. Feet to mat. Woo! Yeah. Pause. I gotta get a drink of water. Maybe you do too. Woo. Let's come up onto our knees. And I'm going to face this way. So we're on our knees. Our shins are directly behind us. Our toes are flat on the mat. Our hips are facing forward. Our shoulders are on top of our hips are on top of our knees. So we're in a true north alignment. This is the prep for camel, which is a back bend. So we put our hands as if we're putting them in our jeans pockets. So my hands are like this. And our elbows are coming together as much as possible behind our back. So a lot of times with camel, which is the pose we're going into, people make these real exaggerated bends. It's not about that. It's about bending, it's about engaging your abdominals, and it's about lifting your chest to the ceiling. It's not about causing wrinkles on your back. So if your back starts wrinkling up, you've gone too far. It's a very slight motion, but you're bringing your chest up to the ceiling. You're extending your elbows back. If you can, look at the ceiling, and maybe it's comfortable for your neck to look further back, but don't strain your neck. This is just a prep for back bends. And breathe in and breathe out. Come back out of it. Come back up to a regular on your knees, looking forward. And let's do that one more time. So hands in your jeans pockets. Your hands are really pressed against your it's your medulla oblongata. I know that's not right. It's the top part of your butt, and your elbows are really pressing back. And bring your chest to the ceiling and look up. And you can feel your abdominals engaging, right? Great, come out of it. So now let's come onto our back, and we're going to come up into bridge pose. So you can do bridge, you can do supported bridge, which is putting a block underneath your sacrum, or you can, do it without a block. So your feet, your toes are facing 12 o'clock. You're on your back. Your feet are firmly into the mat. Your arms are firmly in the mat. So we're lifting with our feet and with the assistance of our arms being really plastered in the mat. Graze the back of your heels with your fingertips, right? And your feet can be hip width distance apart. And you bring your hips towards the ceiling. And breathe. Back bend number 1. Really, really press into your feet. If your butt is clenched, go feel it, unclench it. You're not using your butt, you're using your legs and your arms to assist in this pose. Come to the mat, come down. Breathe in, windshield wiper your feet. And come up again, bridge number 2. Breathe in and breathe out. Breathe in and breathe out. Breathe in and out and lower down. One more bridge. When you're ready, pop up. And then inhale. Breathe in. Breathe out. Draw your knees together. Two more rounds of breath. Breathe in and out. In and out and down. Supta Baddha Konasana, bring the soles of your feet together. Bring one hand on your heart and one hand on your belly. And breathe. gather yourself up into a tight ball. Bring your knees to your forehead, really ball up. And however you can, make your way into downward facing dog. I'm gonna rock and roll there. We're going to do some hip openers now. So we're going to come into pigeon pose. If pigeon pose hurts your knees, please don't do it. Go into figure four. So figure four is on your back. Your right ankle is on your right knee. I use my right elbow to press my right knee, to extend my right knee further. And I keep my shin of my left leg raised to 90 degrees. You can put your head back and pull your left thigh towards you. That's figure four. That's a great hip opener. But if you want to do pigeon, you're in downward facing dog, and you bring your right knee right behind your right wrist to the extent to which you can make your right shin parallel with the top of your mat. That's great. I can't do that, but some people can. You want to keep your toes of your bent right leg, the toes flexed. That protects your knee. And you scoot your back leg back. You can come onto your forearms if that's comfortable, or fully extend your arms out in front of you, your forehead on your mat. And breathe into this. Your toes can be flexed or flat on your extended back leg. If your mind starts to wander, as mine does, think about an intention for the day. Maybe it's to stay positive, or maybe there's somebody who's on your mind and you want to wish them well. Bring them into your thoughts. Or maybe you want to write somebody a letter. Just have those thoughts in your head as you go more deeply into pigeon. Start to bring yourself up out of pigeon slowly. I like to do a little counter stretch. I like to bring my right leg back behind me and kind of wiggle my feet around. If you're in figure four, move over to the other side, which means bringing your left ankle on top of your bent right knee and ease into that hip opener. If you want to do pigeon on this side, extend your left leg. I'm back in downward facing dog. I'm taking my left leg straight behind me, stamping the wall, and then I bring my knee forward to right behind my left wrist, and I scooch my right leg back. I come on my forearms, and then I fully extend my forehead down to the mat and breathe. Come back up, slowly. If you're in figure 4, come to a comfortable seated position. If you're in pigeon, swing your right leg around so that it's facing the front of your mat, and bring your left sole of your left foot into your right thigh for some gentle folds. So my right leg is straight out, my toes are flexed, my left leg is bent, and my foot's in my thigh. Bring your arms up overhead, face your right knee, and fold forward. Okay, and in folding, I'm not rounding my back, I'm bringing my lower back to my knee. So it's not this huge bend for me. It's kind of a very gentle stretch, bringing my lower back forward. And I feel this profoundly in my lower back. Breathe into it. And switch legs. Bring your left leg out straight in front of you. Bring your right foot into the inside of your left thigh. Bring your arms up overhead. Stretch, 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 and bend over your straightened leg. You can bring some water into that knee, don't lock it out. And again, you're bringing your lower back to your knee. Bring your arms up overhead. Stretch both legs out in front of you. In a comfortable seated position, make sure there's no extra stuffing on your mat. Kind of roll it up and out. Lift your arms up overhead and forward fold, making sure your knees have got some bend. Again, lower back to knees, not rounding. Breathe in and out. One more round of breath. Breathe in and out. Good job. And real quickly, grab your block and come up into waterfall. Place your block at the sacrum of your back, or put your feet up against the wall for legs up wall or shoulder stand. But let's do a quick inversion to get the blood back flowing to our heart and to our head. Three more rounds of breath. One more breath. If you have a block, remove it. Come down and come down with your left leg fully extended. Bring your right knee into your chest and draw it over your left thigh to meet the floor on the left or close to it. Extend your right arm out in a T and look to the right. Doesn't matter if your shoulders pop up off the ground. You want to try to stack your right hip on top of your left. And breathe in. This is supine twist. Breathe in, breathe out. Bring your knee back into your chest. And now extend your right leg out straight, bring your left knee into your chest, and do the same thing on this side. With your right arm, I like to assist my knee over my right thigh. I draw my left arm out in a T, and I look to the left, stacking my hips. Come back to center. Bring your knees into your chest, into the little ball. Really scrunch up, scrunch, scrunch, scrunch everything. And Shavasana. Stretch your legs out, flop your feet out to either side of your mat and your arms, your palms up for final rest. Bring some movement into your fingers and toes. And roll on to your right side, cradling your head with your arm. Come up to a comfortable seated position with your eyes closed. Bring your hands to your heart. We'll end practice with the reverberation of one Om. Breathe in, breathe out. Breathe in. Bring your thumb knuckles to your forehead and with open palms, face the light. The light in me honors the light in you. We bow and say namaste, namaste. Good job.